Dave, you mind if we have a little chat?
All right. What'd I do wrong this time?
No one really ever requests Zappa, but I know you love Zappa, so I figured maybe I'd give you an opportunity to speak about Frank Zappa.
Hey, I love Zappa.
See?
Relax. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about Zappa?
What do you want to tell us about Zappa?
Well, let's see now.
When did you first get into Zappa?
Well, my sister had a bunch of Zappa albums. And so as a little kid, I remember hearing Don't Eat That Yellow Snow off a apostrophe. So I probably started getting into Zappa when I was about 10 years old. But in 1979, I bought two albums that I can remember. One of them was In Through the Outdoor, Led Zeppelin. And the other was Chic Your Booty by Frank Zappa. And I got into that album big time. That album I got into mostly because the lyrics were kind of juvenile and very funny. But at the same time, there was some really wailing guitar, and I was into wailing guitar. So that album kind of satisfied both fronts. But mainly I think I got into it because of the vocals, because it was outrageous and funny. And as a 13-year-old kid, it captured my imagination. So then, fast forward to 1980, which is not too far down the tape. Frank Zappa was playing Halloween at the Palladium. And somehow my parents let me and my friend go unaccompanied to see Zappa at the Palladium when we were only 13. I remember getting tickets through Ticketron. Ticketron, that was the thing before Ticketmaster. And we got the tickets, and we saw the night before Halloween, depending on how you pronounce it. And I didn't know at the time, but that was Vinnie Colaiuta on drums, and some young kid taking all of Zappa's guitar solos. And I was like, why isn't Zappa soloing more? Come to find out, it was Steve Vai. He was like 19 years old, or 20. Now, if you don't know, Zappa Halloween at the Palladium was about the freakiest shit you could possibly go to. And the audience, I don't think there was more of an insane, out-of-their-mind audience ever. I mean, there's footage of that shit. And the audience was nuts. And it was just classic insanity. And that was, like I said, Vinnie Colaiuta on drums, Steve Vai, Tommy Marziano on keyboards. I think it was Ray White and Ike Willis on guitars, along with Zappa and Steve Vai. And it was just amazing. It was just ridiculous. I mean, they don't do it like that anymore. So anyway, that was the shit. And then 1981 came along, and again I got tickets for Zappa through Ticketron. And we saw him again the night or two before Halloween at the Palladium. And that show was amazing too. But that show had Chad Wackerman on drums. I think Vinny was better. And again, Steve Vai. And he was taking a lot of the solos, but Zappa was taking solos too. And at both shows, Zappa was soloing his ass off. But obviously they were different. Yeah, they played Montana and they played all this great stuff. The audience insane, once again. Totally nuts. You can see that type of stuff on the film Baby Snakes. There's a lot of concert footage from, I think that's footage from 77, but it was the same kind of vibe. So once again, I saw him in 81. And then kept buying whatever new album came out. Man from Utopia. Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch. We got heavily into Joe's Garage. Both albums. Once again, great playing and absurd lyrics, so it kind of covered all fronts there. And then I saw him a few more times. Saw him at the Felt Forum probably around 1984 or 83. Saw him at the Pier in New York City, the Pier concerts. That was amazing. By this time, he didn't have Steve Vai in the band anymore, which was kind of better because I wanted to see Zappa solo. And the great thing about Zappa's concerts were he would just start the show with like a 10-minute guitar solo. Basically, the band would just start jamming and it would just be straight into it. And I remember at the time I was into the Grateful Dead and I was thinking to myself, this is kind of like the Grateful Dead, only more jamming and more organized. It was like tighter, but similar kind of like vibe. And Zappa would play a lot of reggae. He'd play like a lot of reggae kind of stuff. Like he did Whipping Post, but a reggae version. Where else? I saw him at Fairleigh Dickinson University in 1988. That was the last time I saw him. I think that was the last year he toured.
Sunday, March 20th at the Rothman Center on the campus of Fairleigh Dickinson University in Zena. John Scher presents Frank Zappa. Tickets now at Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster charged in the Capitol Theater box office. For tour information, call the Zappa hotline, 818-PUMPKIN. You can even register to vote at the concert. Are you ready for Frank Zappa?
And that was pretty amazing, too. He played Stairway to Heaven. He played all this odd stuff. It was changing, though. It wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't as good as, 1980 was the best. You can't compare to that. That was the heart of just still great classic Zappa. But then it started changing up a little bit. Got a little more, just got a little more, I don't know, almost corny sounding. Like some of it became a little more goofy and less jamming. And the synthesizer sounds that they started using in the 80s were more cheesy, and it was a little less organic. But still, of course, amazing. The show at Fairleigh Dickinson was like, he had people in the audience, he had people in the lobby getting people to vote, like registering to vote. His big thing was like voting and vote. And he had the Frank Zappa for President bumper stickers and all that shit going on. Yeah. And then I continued to be into him ever since. But, of course, he passed away in 1993, and that was a major bummer. And I remember right before he passed away, he put out this album that was all symphonic kind of orchestral stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I wish he would just play that classic old rock stuff that he used to do. I was unappreciative. But no one knew he was going to die, and then he died. What the hell? We had heard he'd been sick, but you know what I mean? It wasn't like for that long. I didn't realize. Yeah, I was pretty shocked. I was pretty upset for sure. It was kind of hopeless at that point. That was like 1993. It was pretty bad. Yep. But yeah, Zappa. There's no one like Zappa. Zappa was one of the most prolific artists there ever was. I think he put out about, I don't know, he must have put out like 50 albums while he was still alive. And that just goes to show you that drugs are bad news, kids. Because Zappa didn't do any drugs. All he did was work. He worked his ass off. So in the time that other groups were putting out 3 albums, Zappa put out 30. And it was all quality shit. So take that, drug users. Anyway, yeah. What else can I tell you? Guy was the shit. All right. Thank you very much.